Hey, everybody. Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 5, Die Trying is over. But we're just getting started here tonight on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews, and I'm joined with two great guests here. We got Michael Chan. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, good. Yourself?
Good. I'm doing good. And Adam Woodward. How you doing, Adam?
I'm great. Hey, Dave. Hey, Michael. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Poster.
And the alien poster and Ripley may make an appearance. Who knows? Here the dog, Ripley the dog. Okay, so here we're gonna jump into this episode tonight. Just kind of first reactions. I don't know if anybody's ready to jump in first. Volunteer. Maybe I'll go to you, Michael, first. What did you think of tonight's episode?
I loved it. I loved it. I had a really good time, and it felt right to me. Something that I'm really liking about this season is they're not dwelling on any singular arc that goes on for multiple episodes, and that's all they focus on. They're driving the story forward episode by episode by episode at a pace that I personally appreciate, while still maintaining an episodic feel to it, where each episode has its own contained story, its own contained problem to solve. So I don't know. I really like this one.
Okay, over Adam. What was your reaction of tonight's?
Again, first impression again is just how good this series is looking. It just, from right the first, when they get to the Federation area or wherever, and it's just, it looks fantastic. The other ships look great. What's going on in the background, it's so amazing. And Michael, you're absolutely right. This episodic feel that we have every time, and they wrap it up neatly, and we're moving on next week, to another great one. It hasn't disappointed yet. And just before we start on this episode, I'm sorry I missed last week, because that was a fantastic one. I just watched it on Sunday night. I couldn't believe how good that one was.
Yeah, well, yeah, we said we would actually, talk about last week. So yeah, you really loved last week, as did the whole group. I think we were a bunch of 9s all around, and we had we'll put yours into when we get to the ratings tonight for last week to see how that might change that last week's average. But I have to agree with I don't have not to say it's a tough thing to do, but I agree with everything you say about tonight's episode. I thought this was a really great self-contained episode. I thought my feeling overall with this one was that this had to happen, because now that they're in this century and they spent a couple episodes kind of, they picked up Adira and they're kind of finding their way in this new time period. And they need to sort of have a home base. And it wasn't Earth. They thought it was going to be Earth. And that's not where the Federation and Starfleet and really where they belong. Otherwise they would just be this lone ship in space. Voyager was still always Starfleet trying to get home. And otherwise they would have just been a bunch of pirates in the future, or privateers perhaps would be more fitting. But now that they are with this kind of, this admiral who was in their face tonight, this guy, the CNC, because they, they were what was his name? Charles
Vance.
Was it Charles Vance?
I think so.
Admiral Vance, yeah. Fleet Admiral Charles Vance, as played by Oded Fair.
Fun fact, he was doing Blood and Treasure in Montreal and around town here. So I thought I was like, oh, he's doing Star Trek too. Cool.
Yeah, and totally. I think that he was really good in this episode. I think that it's pretty much that. And we'll jump into the actual content of the episode. Just one moment while I just get my thoughts here. I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, what I meant to say was it's good because he's a really good actor in my opinion, and it's nice that he's already in town, and now we get to have him in this too.
There he is. He was great tonight. I thought that this uniform is okay.
Oh, they were in uniforms. That's awesome.
I'm going right to the uniforms. It's fine. it's pretty safe. I think for a 32nd century, they're coming in, they're seeing all this advanced ships. It was kind of this great moments as they're coming in. They're like, look at all this technology. They got stuff that's organic here that's flying around. And we see it sort of the end crawl. And then they get here, and you expect to see the same in the uniforms, like that kind of quality, that futuristic thinking. And it's like, no, we kind of do the same kind of safe Starfleet design with, but it's, I guess it's
really threw me with the uniform. From a distance, that badge looks a little bit Bajoran to me. Just for a second, I was like, wait, whoa, oh, are we? What's going on? Is Bajor involved? And then, oh, wait, okay, no, that's the badge in the opening. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, they say some interesting things tonight, like that there's only 38 members of the Federation at present in this particular year. So the Federation still exists ostentatiously, but I don't know who but they said at one point there was 350 planets, including Bajor. Apparently everybody was in the Federation eventually, because we learned in shows like Star Trek Enterprise that the Klingons would eventually even join the Federation. So just in terms of with this whole episode, like this whole homecoming feeling with Michael Burnham and Saru, they're kind of talking, okay, we're going home, we're going to where Starfleet headquarters is. I wasn't quite even sure. I guess last episode they got the information they needed, right? That's how that worked from the Admiral from Senetal, where they needed to go. Yeah. And so this was Senetal's old pal. So when they come home, they're kind of they're greeted. Although I had a bad feeling about this whole thing. Did anyone else have like, well, we're home, it's great, da da da, and then they like beam away right before the credits, and Jane and I were like, oh no, there's something, it's gonna go there, and they're really like, no, we're being murdered. Ah!
I still have a bad feeling about this.
Okay, so you're with me, Michael. You're a little distrusting of our new Admiral Vance.
Not necessarily the Admiral. I think there's more to the Starfleet thing than we're seeing, and that will be explored as this season moves forward. There's something later in the episode that kind of leads me to believe that. I don't know when we're going to get there, but we'll get there. Like in
we also had this other character, the lieutenant that works for the Admiral, Lieutenant Jen Reese. That's the other guy. No, who was the lieutenant?
The female,
Audra Willa. Yeah, chief of security for Federation headquarters, and she worked for Admiral Vance, and so Audrey Willa is the other character we meet tonight, who was sort of is a chaperone on this mission because Saru is held as a hostage, right?
No, I think that's the wrong term. He wasn't held. He volunteered.
He volunteered to be a hostage.
He just said, "Take my crew. I'll stay here."
Right, but then the Admiral says, if anything goes wrong, it's his. We got his ass. It's kind of like it's.
You know what? I think that you might be a little bit harsh because again, put yourself in his shoes, where he, a ship shows up from 1,000 years ago or whatever it is, and claiming to be Starfleet. Anybody can put a uniform on. And there's always evil admirals in Starfleet. That's so true.
Thanks, Jane.
That's so true. But, however, he's got reason to be suspicious. Picard would have been suspicious. Prove yourself.
He's not the one who actually has me worried. His reactions, the way he Vance held himself, and his suspicions, I felt were justified.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a bad feeling, especially when that big cameo happened halfway through.
The cameo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of what?
The actor or director who showed up.
David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Who?
The old dude who
Glasses?
Yeah, that's David Cronenberg, man.
That's David Cronenberg. I had no
That's
idea.
David
I was like,
Cronenberg.
"Who? This is a very interesting actor they got for this role." I thought. I was like, "We must break this guy down tonight here on the podcast." He's so the one who interrogates Giorgio, and we have to get into Giorgio and what. Like, I was shocked that she didn't bail before the ship got back to Federation headquarters, because there was no way this was going to go well for her, being like this sort of rogue Terran agent from 1,000 years ago. Even if they accept the Starfleet crew, she had no idea how this was going to go for her.
Yeah.
I
Before we get there, can I just come back to this whole reference to home or home or home?
Yes.
I can't believe that that's a term they're using, because heck, I don't know how they find anywhere familiar. Maybe because Starfleet, but there's nothing familiar about where they are now, and maybe that's where you're feeling a little uneasy, Michael. It's just, how do you feel at home when you have no idea who the people are, what the values are, what's the history is, there's just nothing common between the two groups at this point.
And I agree with you on that. I think whatever Starfleet they thought they knew, this I think it's going to turn out this isn't it. But I'm not saying it's evil, although there might be less than savory elements. But I think the point would be that at some point their presence will lift. I mean, that's what this episode is leaning towards, right? They're going to try to lift them.
Exactly, like that. They're going to try to rebuild the Federation. Like, Burnham's looking to save the day, like, for everybody, right? Like, and she's. Yeah, but just like on this whole, we saw when they were coming in tonight. We saw the Voyager J. Adam?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
Okay, I do have a note about Voyager too, because coming back to the whole episodic thing, what drove me absolutely crazy about Voyager, and particularly Lost in Space, the old one, was this whole roaming. I can't take it. It just, you never get where you're going. And this discovery, I'm not feeling there's not a gap. Okay, we know where they're going, and we've got there. Okay, great. Now let's go on with the next episode, because it's just not a random, like, who are you going to bump into? It's not. I don't feel like this is random. This is really prescribed, and the writing is great so far. Like, honestly, episode to episode.
Michael, question here. How can the Federation have a home without Earth? Because this is sort of a Federation that's not. It's kind of a nomadic, right? Like, they're not. They've said that it's been like that since the burn. That since the burn, there has been no real cohesive government or anything else. It's just been sort of. They're in a bunker, basically. This is the Federation bunker.
Well, wouldn't the why does Earth have to be its home, especially this far away in the future? If it's the United Federation of Planets, then home can be anywhere.
Yeah, Earth is special in the sense that it's one of the founding planets, and it's the capital. It was the capital planet of the Federation, at least up until somewhat recently. A couple 150 years ago. But right now, it's a sovereign state. It's not part of the Federation. It's not one of these.
It could rejoin planets at some point.
But I think it seems like even when we were last at Earth, they were very much hinting that Discovery's going to kind of circle around and kind of, maybe try to rebuild the Federation, as we see here in our backdrop. Sorry,
Dave, to answer your question, was it cool to see the Voyager? Yes, it's cool to see anything that takes you back to other episodes. I wasn't a big fan of Voyager,
Right. Well, Jane thought that was great, because she thought it's the Voyager J for Janeway, so it's almost the best version you have going.
Would a pin-up painted Janeway on the side, lying on her side, like on a fighter jet, have made you happier?
No, I don't know if it would have made me happier. It would have been more intriguing. But they said 11 generations of ships that they had, and there would be 11 Voyagers. We didn't even got to sell the Voyager A yet, let alone the Voyager B or C or down to J. Anyway, so everyone got there. They were so happy. You said you were uneasy, and so were we. But everything turned out okay by the end. There's this whole debriefing series, and the Admiral's saying, "Well, I don't know if you're bad or whoever you tend to be," but they kind of go through this whole interrogation scenes, and there's this whole feeling like the family's going to be broken up. But and Burnham is insolent with this Admiral, and Saru. Good thing he is the captain, because I think that this would have gone very badly if the other way around. Adam, any thoughts on that?
She's the typical first officer. She wants to get things done. She wants to take control, but she definitely doesn't have the control or discipline she needs as a captain. And maybe she recognized that. Apologies for the dog. She doesn't have the discipline that you need as a captain. And maybe she recognized that when she handed over that to Saru. But she doesn't have it. Like she can't do that. And it's good. I mean, he needs to rein her in. And I'm going to mute for a second while these dogs bark.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So Michael,
so I felt that this episode reiterated the point that Saru truly is the best candidate at this point in time for captain, because let's not forget that Michael has been, in this future for a while, and hasn't been a Starfleet officer. And yeah, she's hot-headed, a little insolent, but she's also hasn't had, I don't want to say ball and chain, but hasn't had all the barriers and restrictions of the Federation for about a year. So she still needs to get back into it. But what I felt was good about this episode was, while it showed why Saru is the right choice and the right captain, it also showed us what Michael could have done as a captain by letting her captain the ship for most of the episode and showing her leadership skills. And, if you compare this Michael to the season 1 Michael, the one we started with, wow, the growth is extremely apparent. And but yes, she is definitely not the choice for captain, but yeah, she can still lead.
You're still muted, Adam.
She's definitely a leader. She's just not that. She doesn't have the discipline that she needs to be the captain. That's all.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and I thought she handled this mission pretty well tonight. And I think the thing that maybe stuck out to me in this whole, like, them debriefing them trying to reintegrate, and them saying, like, no, there's stuff we can do that you don't even understand. And Michael has a somewhat educated viewpoint on this because she's been in this time period for a year. So she has some understanding of what it's like out there. And she doesn't necessarily understand what the new modern Federation technology is, but she at least understands that whatever resources they have, they're limited, and they only have them sort of in this one place.
What's interesting about her, though, is like, considering that she was raised on Vulcan, and she should have more logic and discipline, and to hey, wait a second, let's wait and find out what happens, because she's very reactionary. She wants to react. She feels like the crew's going to be ripped apart. Well, you can't do that. Wait, whoa. Okay, let's find out what's going to happen here first before you stand up against the guy who has all the power over you right now.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Where she's like, "Can I ask why?" And he's like, "No." And
no,
it's just, I'm your boss, and you're gonna listen, and this is how this works. I thought, I think she was fierce tonight, but I think that Saru is the right counterbalance. I think that this captain dynamic, I think, is exactly what they need right now.
And what Saru showed again was that he showed it when he first got to that planet a few episodes ago. When he was walking with Tilly, he just, he has the ability to see the strengths in his people, but also rein them in when necessary. Just great.
And Michael, on this whole idea that the Discovery needs to stay together, that they need to be sort of absorbed into this modern Starfleet, but that that they know better, and that is that a little bit naive, because we see here that Detmer's got real problems. The Admiral points this out, and I think he maybe has a good point about at least her, right? That there's some things that this Discovery crew at least needs to sort of get caught up on. Is Burnham's confidence fully earned, or is it a little overstated?
Well, you're already in this future where you know absolutely nobody, and if you're going through trauma, especially at the level that Detmer is, I don't think being ripped away from your crew, who's also experiencing shared trauma, would be the best way to help deal with her issues. I think personally, it's like this pandemic we're in, right? We're all ripped apart. We're all in our separate places, but we still find ways to connect with each other, to stay together in this shared experience of the pandemic, because we understand how each other feels and we can help each other through our problems. And I as much as I do see Admiral Vance's point of view that everyone's having problems, maybe they need to go their separate ways to fix themselves. I think it's better in the end for them to be together.
Right. Okay, well, fair enough. Jameel's asking, can I wait for Dave's take on the new Starfleet uniform? So I did mention the Admiral's uniform earlier, Jaemeel. We talked about Admiral Vance, but there's also we mentioned Lieutenant Audra Willa, and I assume this is the Starfleet uniform of such for the security division. It's a little boring, it's a little safe, I think, but it's fine. It's just dark. With the comm badge is a little too rounded, and I think I agree does have this reminiscent effect of the Bajoran comm badge, which I think is.
Do you have a full shot of her outfit? Because I also felt the full uniform was also a little Bajoran looking.
I can see if I don't have that one handy, but I will take a look for
that. I agree with Jaemeel Robinson's latest comment that he just posted, that while keeping them together is good. Yes, absolutely. Their issues do need to be dealt with.
Yeah, he's saying here the crew has been through the ringer emotionally. Ripping them away, indeed, is the wrong call, but ensuring that this is dealt with should not be ignored. So I think at the very least, if they need a little bit more assimilation time into this time period, no pun intended with the Borg reference, they have 1,000 years to catch up on. Is that at least not the prudent thing to do? Take a moment to have a breather here, read a couple books.
A breather is different from reassigning.
Yes.
If they want to stay on base and they need a break, absolutely. But to separate the entire crew into different ships, no.
Even to learn, what's happened in 1,000 years? You got to learn the history. You have to find out what's happening. They don't want to talk about the burn yet, but it's fine. There's got a lot of other stuff that's gone on. The technology advances. My goodness, they got a lot to learn, right?
Right.
And what's the political structure right now? Is the Federation, who's it controlled by? Is it the Admiral now? Because there's no civilian body we've met yet. It's just really, really curious to see how this is all operating right now.
Well, they said that,
the Federation. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that the Federation. They said the Federation government, what's left of it, and the 38 planets he spoke of, and whatever's left of Starfleet Command is all here, and it's remote.
Right.
And
but aren't you curious to know who's there? Who are the suspects that we know? From our Star Trek lore, who are going to be introduced here? Are the Klingons here? Are the Bajorans here? Are we going to see? We've already met. Who did we meet? We met Orion and an Andorian, right? From the past. Not from the past, but from our past history of Star Trek.
Yeah, they were members of the species. Yeah, we've been to Trill now. Like, who in terms of like the Starfleet or the Federation species that we know of in the lore in the canon of Star Trek?
Yeah.
Yeah. Humans, of course, and we haven't really seen much of the Vulcans yet or anything
No.
else.
No, we haven't.
Here's another pressing question I have. Okay, this wipe they did this whole thing where this cover up of the fact that the Discovery went into the future and it was destroyed in this final battle and this end at the end of season 2. This cover up, it was immaculate. Was this the greatest cover up in the history of cover ups, Adam?
Maybe they just thought that the ship was destroyed. It disappeared.
Right. But this whole thing was like, okay, there was that whole final battle. There were all those members of the Enterprise crew. The fact that all these people, like, they would have just been declared dead, right? Like, Spock knew exactly what happened. Pike knew, right? All these people. Maybe they'll address this in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds when that comes out, and how this secret was so carefully guarded that nobody, even to the death, like that 950 years later, and with all the time travel that was going on and all the the time wars and whatever was going on, that this was never really nailed down. The fact that Discovery went into the future to save all organic life in the universe, by the way.
But what are they going to say? Like, you just consider this. So right now I disappear into the future. Okay. That's all you can say. We don't know the end. We don't know the ending.
Well, I just surprised there wasn't like a classified file somewhere or somebody that said, guess what?
What if it was blown up?
But okay, I guess hey, fair enough. It was great. Good job with the it worked. They beat control.
Up so much as there's just nothing to talk about. I guess they could say yes, they went in the future, but who knows when they're going to pop up and. Oh, you're the ship that, was supposed to show up here eventually,
Right. But okay, them coming back home, if you will, they're representing Starfleet. The bad impressions won't be solved by saying they are from the past. Who is the real Starfleet here to you of these two versions? Adam,
I mean, they've already made a good impression.
Michael, like, was it? Is that the Discovery crew are the ones we look up to the stars. We are the ones who are the true believers. And you have lost your way. You've kind of become distrustful and you become cynical or something like. Was that what they were trying to say in tonight's episode, or the Discovery's really they're carrying the torch for the true way? Not in the Bajoran sense, but
I would say if anything, Discovery is carrying the torch of the way that we are familiar with as an audience. That whatever comes out of the other end when this season's finally over will probably be a little bit different, but also be familiar, because we can't, and they definitely can't hold on to past ideals too strongly, especially in the current climate that they're living in. There's going to have to be compromise. Whatever current federation they have needs to grow, and Discovery needs to adjust. So maybe they're just going to meet in the middle or something.
Maybe. Jameel's throwing out this idea here. Vulcans and Romulans have maybe paired up by this time, and that's why we haven't run into them yet. I think that's a very sound theory. That it was the dream that Ambassador Spock had, the dream of reunification between the Vulcans and the Romulans, that we know hasn't happened, at least by the time of Star Trek Picard, because that's now come out. But that this is something that could eventually happen, at least by the 32nd century, certainly, and that would be something very interesting to see how that would be represented in the show. Are they going to show?
They're going to be humans.
They're humans. They kind of meet in the middle. They're kind of like happy medium.
Well, Vulcans are extremely logical, and Romulans are extremely technically emotional. And you put them together, and their ears start rounding out, and now they're just like us.
Done. Adam, thoughts?
I'm kidding. But yes.
I'm gonna wait and find out what happens here, guys. This.
Yeah, no, you want to be speculative here. Let's not chase down some theories that they haven't shown us yet. Let's keep. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's stay on hand, but I want to get back to Georgiou, and I guess David Cronenberg. Apparently, it was from Alien, and her. And I think it's crazy that unless this is some kind of plan she has, which it very well could be, because Georgiou is always a step ahead of everybody, seemingly. And she may be a step ahead of David Cronenberg, but so far it looks like it's not that case, because she seems to she does not go with them on this mission tonight, right? Like, she is left, Saru was kept behind, but she was also not on the ship. And I don't know, they don't really speak about her. The Admiral doesn't really bring her up. But I'm surprised they haven't said, well, she's a Terran. And
so here's the thing. To have Cronenberg be the one who interrogates her is very interesting, because his entire filmatics, his entire style, his whole shtick is he brings the inside to the outside. Right? That's what he does. And so you have him. We're supposed to know that's him, I think. And he's interrogating her and trying to dig up what her motivations are. He's trying to dig up everything that's inside her and break her down. I thought it was perfect, by the way. That was a perfect casting. But it was interesting because we see her again at the end, and she's like out of it. Like, she's in a state we've never seen her in before. So there's two ways that could, in my opinion, this could be. Either he messed with her somehow, so now she's not right anymore. Something's going on. Or the alternative is he did finally break through, and she's not used to that.
Right. Okay. So David Cronenberg's the filmmaker who made The Fly.
Yes.
This is a film I love. Okay. So here he is as he was depicted tonight. He was wearing a suit and tie with a Starfleet badge here. It was an interesting look. But this suit suits this Starfleet badge more than the Starfleet uniform did, perhaps.
And every movie he's in, or now TV, he's so creepy looking too. He's surprisingly calm. And Michael, you're right. I remember that movie, Nightbreed. You ever see that movie? And he was a psychiatrist, and turned out he was the killer. Anyway, but he was so calm in this movie, and he seems that, and Michael, you're absolutely right. He is that psychiatrist again, who can just dig in and pull things out, and pull out the nastiness, or pull out the secrets in somebody. And he's done it here, I think, with Georgiou.
Yeah.
And it's so, I think, such a great tribute to his characters and his movies and his writing over the years to put him into this role.
Yep.
Well, okay. Question: is he a good character? Is he net positive or net negative? What do we make of this character that he was playing?
See, he makes me feel very uneasy, and it's the nature of David Cronenberg. So I think, honestly, we're supposed to be left wondering. He could go either way. Honestly, I think he can go either way.
Well, I know you don't like speculation, Adam, but the investigator could be of Terran.
That was what I was thinking. I thought he was Terran.
It's a possibility. I think that this was interesting. I think that they said that, I thought that there was a lot of things that were talked about tonight. They talked about different who had become Federation members and different points in history, the wars that had happened, and the fact that there's been this divergence with the mirror universe, and there hasn't been a crossover in 500 years, and that Georgiou is more alone because she's not as likely to jump back to her old universe, or her home universe, if you will. So, did anyone have any kind of feelings towards that? Did that, in terms of that revelation? Maybe Adam first.
I think that's awesome that you said that. I think that coming back to the comment you made about he could be Terran, that would be a great storyline if that is the case. And coming back to the whole, they know the history. Jaemeel just said here on the chat about they know the history of the Terrans. Like how do they know that? I don't think that was really talked about. It was really quick. Did you guys like how quick that conversation? You've killed people, and we know you did. But it was just a very fast conversation. And she was blinking, and then it was over. And then David Cronenberg jumped out.
Yeah, like I don't know how they exactly knew what they knew, and I guess they were also debriefing everybody at the same time, so there was a lot of intelligence coming out. But they don't feel very favorably about the Terrans in this time. It seems like that's in terms of how they've been sort of trained to deal with these situations, because he's been reading about it since he was a kid, and it's like this is kind of like old fiction for him, right? Michael, your thoughts on this whole development?
That it's fiction to him, that he's been studying this since he was young.
No, more just the whole this whole like fascination with the Terrans, and whatever this dynamic is between the two of them, whatever his agenda ultimately is with her, is sort of what I'm maybe trying to figure out the most. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm actually very curious to see where this goes, because it's not going to end here, I don't think, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see Cronenberg again. Jaemeel, for example, thinks maybe that he replaced Giorgio with a hologram, maybe, or a clone. That's interesting.
Maybe, but to what end, and why, and what is your like this whole? I was kind of like left a little bit like, all right, well, whatever, Giorgio. I'm still trying to figure out how she fits into this crew. Michael treats her very much like one of the family. Like she's like Philippa, right? At the end of the episode, speaking to her over and over again, and she's kind of like not responsive, and eventually comes around to more irritable Giorgio.
Well, I mean, he dug out that he figured her out, that the reason why she's here is because there's someone she cares about, right? Well, Terrans aren't they're not known for being like that. The fact that he can dig it out of her that easily, that must be.
He talks about the first contact between the Vulcans and Zephyr Cochrane in the Mirror Universe. They do, like, to Jameel's question here. Yeah, they do know a lot about the history of the Terran Empire, and Giorgio was, for a time, the emperor of the Terran Empire, and so her reputation should be somewhat known and documented in this history. They would have read her rap sheet of her war crimes against tyrannity.
But she's always seen herself as unshakable, right? And she's supposed to be badass. No one can figure out. She has her own agendas, plays by her rules, and succeeds. This guy just like dug into her brain and ripped everything out like that. It must have shaken her quite a bit. Unless he is Terran too, then he would know how to do that easily.
Or unless she's playing him, which I think is always a possibility.
Well, that is actually a possibility.
Hey, Dave. Sorry, Michael. Can you bring up his picture again?
Yeah.
I mean, even the costuming on him. Look at the choice of color and the high cut of the.
And it's modern to us, not to that. Like, can you imagine? Like in the future, people still wear old school suits.
Well,
but it is that. Listen, it looks like the World War II interrogator.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. There's something about him making him just not even look like he fits in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. To the point, he's wearing glasses, and this is the 32nd century. Everybody, like, they've already cured glasses by the 23rd century, and I know dilithium's hard to come by these days, but it's Retinex. Maybe that's you only get that at a certain planet. Retinex 42 or whatever McCoy would have prescribed if Shatner or Kirk wasn't allergic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she's like, "Why do you wear those glasses?" And he doesn't say because he needs them, just because he likes them, right? Is that his answer, or he thinks that they make him look smarter? I can't even remember what his answer was.
I think he said it makes him look smarter.
Well, there you go. I thought he was a lot of fun. Anyway, he was maybe even though maybe it's making Georgiou more relevant because I think she's the part of the show I'm still trying to like, where does she fit into this crew now, especially now here in the 32nd century? What does she want? What does she want out of her life? I don't, other than to look after Michael, which is some sort of a maternal relationship, I think.
But again, Jaemeel made a comment here. Now it stuck with me. Maybe she has been substituted, or something's going on there, because that pause was a little bit, that frozen Giorgio was a little weird, And Michael, you're right. He either changed or brought something out or did something to her. Because
I have an idea who it could be. I think
speculating, by the way.
More speculation, more rampant speculation. Let's keep throwing out wild theories. I think that this guy could be David Cronenberg, could be Jason Isaacs' character in Lorca. I think that Captain Lorca maybe somehow transformed from being eaten by that wormhole thing, whatever it was in season 1. Now he's here in the form of this guy, of Cronenberg.
Okay, I'm going to throw a theory out. What if he switched places with her? Brain swap.
What a hair swap.
Pardon?
Just like different kinds of swaps they could have had.
Yeah. No, I'm saying he's in her body.
Yeah, like
he's impersonating her.
It could be. There's all kinds of ways. I think that there will be some kind of twist in some fashion with this character. I think this is not the last conversation between these two. We will see.
No.
And I think that's fun. Although every time I see a Soon-Tai in Star Trek, like, this has been very common now in this modern era. Picard was doing a lot of like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, like it just feels a little bit out of place, but maybe this is more of a retro look. Okay, so we talked about a lot of things. Some of the other big reveals tonight that we heard was, different planets joined the Federation at different times, including Barzan and Kaminar, which is the homeworld of the Kelpians. Did anybody have any reactions to that? Adam, was that?
No,
doesn't mean anything.
Not really, because we don't know enough about the Kelpians or the Barzans. I'd like to know more about the Barzans, but now we've left. Can't remember Lieutenant
Non
back. No,
yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So is she off the show now, or we're just guest starring every now and then?
Recurring character at best, it feels like right now. It seems to be the and we haven't really even touched about Non, like, and that whole storyline. This is the other part of this episode we've largely overlooked, which is their mission to go to Barzan, or that's right, that's where they went, correct? Or
they
Barzan.
went to a pod ship.
A pod ship, okay, but it was somehow attached, and Commander Non, who joined the show last year from the Enterprise, is this is her home, her people, her species, and so there's this whole storyline with a father whose family has died. I don't even quite really know what I saw tonight with this story. It was a little bit I was a little bit hard to, it was maybe not so hard to follow as I wasn't engaged with it really. Any thoughts on this one, or was this really strong for everybody?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting to learn more about how the Federation functioned. Now had a ship with all these seas on it, and I appreciated that different species has their watch, essentially, someone who takes care of this ship. And it allowed, this was the segment that allowed Michael to show her command abilities, her leadership abilities, her compassion, her ability to, like, even at the end when the guy was dephased and wouldn't respond to none, Michael was able to turn him around and get his help. Like, I felt like all of this was meant to. It was a problem to solve, a secondary problem in the episode, but also helped justify, Discovery. Well, prove Discovery and their crew are not bad guys to the new Federation. It allowed them to stay together, and it showed, that Michael can lead. Like it served its purpose while giving us, tidbits about the Federation.
And it served to get Commander Non sort of off the ship and out of the main cast, but she can come back if they want to.
So I have a question for you. Did the actor who plays Book, did he just get voted one of the top 100 most beautiful people on the planet? Because they just kicked someone off the show.
Well, are they just clearing some room on the deck, if you will, for Book and maybe Book's cat? I forget the name of the cat right now, but is there sort of too many characters floating around? We need to sort of, especially with Adira coming in, who seems to be a major character now for the show, and going on away missions with Saru and Burnham.
Someone must have been voted one of the 100 most sexiest people on the planet, because that's the only way someone gets kicked off. I'm kidding. I'm referring to Harry Kim, that actor being. Sorry.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah.
You remember that? What I told you about
yeah.
that.
Well, now that you
one of the most beautiful people, and then someone got kicked off the show.
I'm connecting the dots now a bit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
But that poster behind us here again. Who's next to Adira? Is this a character we haven't met yet, or is that somebody?
No, that's the Doctor. That's Hugh.
It's Culber. Hugh.
Yeah. Oh, gotta wear my glasses.
No, everyone. The same mistake was made last week. Somebody also didn't know who that was. They're like, "Who is that? Is that a new character?" I'm like, "No, that's Dr. Culber."
Was it Jaemeel who thought that? No, yeah, it's just the poster. It's the lighting on it.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, and Jameel's making the point with Commander Non gone now, and at least as a main member, who is running security for the Discovery? Because
bring Book back. Bring Book. But no, I'm kidding.
Is anyone here a fan of the Harry Potter series?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know how there's that curse on the position of like the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher position, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the Chief of Security of Discovery is the same curse. We had Commander Landry in the first season, who was played by the lady from Battlestar Galactica, one of the final five over there. She was killed by the tardigrade. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Yep.
What's her name? Yes, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah, the character was Commander Landry, and then there was Commander Vok, like the Vok pretending to be the security chief, the love interest for Tyler. Yeah, and all of that, and now that character's gone, and then the new security chief was temporarily no more. So who wants the job? You better not take it, because you'll be out of the show pretty quickly.
A descendant of Wesley Crusher.
Okay. A descendant of Wesley Crusher. Maybe
played by Will Wheaton.
So whoever your least favorite character on the show is, who's on the crew, that's who you want to be the next security chief.
And please put them in red.
Put them in red. Well, I feel like these uniforms need a refresh, really. But what are we supposed to do when this is what, like, they're saying, well, this is what's cool in the 20 or the 32nd century, just kind of dull gray uniforms with some red piping. Like, do some bright colors, man. Do like red shirts, yellow shirts. Let's go full out. We're gonna get that in Strange New Worlds, and I feel like we have to wait forever for that while they're sort of being too subtle. Because this gold, bronze, silver scheme on the Discovery uniform is a little too.
Maybe as things progress and the tone gets lighter, so will their uniforms.
I just say let's have some color, man. Like in there, like it's just
white boots.
White. Well, yeah. White boots. White boots from. You're referencing Star Trek Lower Decks, which I was griping each week after week how the Science Division uniform had white boots, but the other two divisions had black boots, and my OCD just couldn't let this go. So I think we talked about that. We talked about their mission. I agree that Burnham stands out in that storyline, and that I guess they had to find a way to sort of write Commander Nhan on the show, because they don't seem to have enough room for her, because Book wasn't even in this episode, nor was the cat. But was this whole storyline with the father and his kids, and they're dead, and this idea the Barzans have this different idea of all that. That part is maybe the weakest part for me. Adam, what did you this part of the episode for you?
It was necessary, but again, I'm with you. I got a little bit. I'm glad it was only 5 minutes of the whole show, because it seemed to drag even with that 5 minutes. I wasn't really.
Yeah, it dragged, and you're right. It was not a lot of the episode, but for some reason I'm sort of fixated on it.
Yeah, neat idea, and I'm glad it was fast.
The episode's name is Die Trying. Is that to refer to him, like the father here, who's dying trying? What is that a reference to?
I did try to figure that one out. Well, obviously he was going to die. Well, he was dying trying.
He was dying. I guess so. But sometimes they have these.
Is Nhan gonna? Okay, just so the one thing I wanted to understand: the person who takes care of that ship, do they take care of it until they die, or is it a timed period? Because I don't remember. Because if they're there until they die, then she's gonna die trying too.
Yeah, this is we don't know a lot about the Barzans. We met them once in an episode with Devanani Rao, who was the love interest of Deanna Troi. He was the quarter Betazoid guy who was using his powers to influence negotiations over a wormhole that ended up being worthless. That was at Barzan 2, which is what non-species is, and this is the species that's featured in this episode tonight. We know nothing about this species, and there was a whole bunch of stuff revealed where they weren't in the Federation, at least around that are the time periods we've seen them before, and we just knew they had these breathing apparatuses, and apparently they don't like the Federation, or they don't like Starfleet or something. It was a lot, but hey. Let's get into ratings. So, Adam, you said you loved last week's episode, so I think maybe that's where we have to start. Forget Me Not. You can see the ratings up here on screen if you're following along on Facebook and YouTube. Adam, do you want to rate last week?
Yeah, I'm going to do a solid 9.5 again. I'm really enjoying this series.
All right, great. And while we're speaking with you, hey, let's throw the rating in for this time.
Again, I'll start with a 9 tonight, and just 9. Because of the Barzan 5 minutes of sort of losing me, but that was it.
Jaemeel, if you're following along, please leave your rating in the comments. We'll gladly throw it in. Michael,
still 9. Barzan storyline didn't bother me that much.
Not even you won't even go to an 8.9, Michael.
Nope.
Yeah, he's solid. Michael does not waver. His average at 9 is well earned. Jane, if you are listening, you can also leave a rating in the comments. I'm going to give tonight's episode. I like this a fair bit. I would go as high as a 9.8.
Wow. Despite not liking the non-section?
Despite that.
Wow.
Jaemeel has rated in the comments. He's giving this an 8.5. And Jane, I don't know if you're out there, but if you are, please let us know. So Jameel's rating brought this down a bit. He's pulling this down, but this is a 9.1 if you look at the four of us, and that is a solid. This whole season has been doing very, very well. So I'm happy to report that. It's always good when you're podcasting about a show that's going well. It's harder when it's not going well, or at least when you perceive it to not be going as well.
But we've had 5 episodes now, and every one of them has been great. Like every one of them.
Yeah, like I don't like I am gonna be interested to see how they play for me on rewatch when I go back to see these again. But first watch, the week to week, I'm compelled. I'm in. It's not hard for me to kind of follow along what's happening. I am well engaged, and I'm excited to see where they go next. They're doing episodic, but there's a narrative, there's a progression, and I think that they have a lot of momentum. I think that they're taking really big swings overall. They're kind of saying, yeah, like the Federation and everything, it was all going great, and then we were at the peak, and then it all fell down, and so there's this whole chance of renewal.
I will say this. This is the first time an episode ended, and I don't know roughly where they're going next. Because the last 4 episodes, each one had a major question that was answered in the next episode, right? First episode's like, okay, so Michael's here. Where's the rest of the group? Oh, there they are. Second episode, that's where they are, right? And then third episode, you get a new character, who then allows, then you explore that character, and then they're like, well, now we're gonna go find a Federation. Boom, they found the Federation. At the end of this episode, it's like, where are they going? There are threads that that are running through all this, but there's no big destination.
They don't, but they do have the Admiral who said, "You go where I want, when I want." And
oh no, of course. I'm just saying there's no clear, that's the thing. They go where he wants, but we don't know where he's sending them. Right. Whereas in the previous episodes, you always have a clear path forward. In my opinion, at least, I knew where they were going roughly. I'm actually shocked we're here now at episode 5. I thought it would take longer to get to the Federation, but
no, we're halfway through.
Oh no, and that's great. I thought this would be like a all the way to the end of the season thing. So I'm
glad that it's not. I really am. I was, that was maybe my that earned its 9.8 tonight for me, because I felt that they got here, they established it. I think if they'd just been this lone ship for the whole season, I think it would have made it a little tougher for me as a viewer, because I think that they would just be sort of this relic. They would have been this group out of time, and it'd be like, okay, well, where do you go from here exactly, and what are you going to do? And I think having sort of like, there's still a Starfleet. It's small, and they're really not from bare bones, but it's they don't have a lot they're going from. But this spore drive gives them this whole tactical advantage. They have this whole perspective. And even Dr. Culber was able to cure those aliens who were having some kind of strange affliction that only he could cure, because only his time period knew about this thing, right?
About the seed ship.
Right, the seed ship. The wisdom of the sphere, right? And I guess the only thing that's lingering in the back of my mind is this AI guy we met tonight with the bow tie. Did anyone have any thought? Was he just kind of there for comic relief, or you think he might be a little bit more insidious?
I think he's the Robert Picardo doctor.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just like he's more there as a homage, a little bit of
I got that. I actually felt like, oh.
I didn't trust this guy, because I was like, Control from last season. I don't want any AI, because he referenced like AI has been more sophisticated since your time, and I don't want that guy to be like some kind of version Control who's coming with the sphere data. I'm done with that storyline. I'm good with what they're doing with this storyline. I think that they need to just leave that alone. I don't want to return to it.
But speaking of comedy relief, this is now Tilly's job, and it's. I think Jane said it a couple of weeks ago. It can be annoying, and she's not anything else but that laugh now. When she was being interrogated, it was good, but it was a little worrying that she's going to be just that character.
Jane gave this episode an 8. So
really? Just explain that next week.
Yeah. So that means that brought the average down. So this is one of the worst episodes this season at 8.9.
Awesome.
She's hard on this show though. Look at that.
Yeah, it takes a lot to impress Jane with Star Trek. She's one of the toughest. She's constantly scrutinizing things. You should hear her. But she's not here on the podcast to defend herself. So it's
Just
again,
watch.
I can make wild accusations if I choose to. Okay, so I think that wraps it up, eh? So we can call it for this one, and we'll be back for episode 6. We're more than halfway through this season. Can you believe it?
Nope.
That's a great comment from Jaemeel. That'd be interesting too.
Will they have a scene with the gentleman, the David Cronenberg, I'm assuming, who is watching?
No, the guy on the outpost.
Oh yeah, the guy. I am not a commissioned officer. I can't raise this flag. Yeah, that guy. Okay, so with the gentleman who's keeping watch on behalf of the Federation, are they going to pick him up and bring him to the actual Federation?
Make his day. They should.
Yeah, he doesn't even know if this is out there. If he found this would be like Disneyland for him, right?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to Disney.
Yeah, they were like we see here in this the shot that they had where Stamets and the crew when they first get there, as I was talking about, like this is a whole wondrous place with technologies and things they were only theoretical, things they can only imagine. They're like really these people at a time. So I'm excited to assimilate to it.
Before we go, I've thought it was interesting for them to throw in the thread of the song that everybody seems to know.
Oh, we didn't talk about that, right?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, and I think we should try. Yes,
to me is one of the biggest. I feel like that's going to be huge. I don't know why. I just have a really big feeling about that is going to be important somehow. Really important.
It will be. They love to have like these hints that they drop through, these breadcrumbs that they throw into the, and then you go, oh, I see what they were. So when you watch it on the rewatch, you're like, oh, look at they got these little things, and then they can throw it in those YouTube top 10 videos, like 10 things you didn't see in the first watch here on season 3 of Star Trek. We should do that video. So you get so many clicks.
Oh my god, I was thinking the same thing, Jaemeel.
Me too.
What's he saying? They're all Cylons? Yeah, of course they're all Cylons. All right. What does it mean? I don't know what it means
holograms.
Yet. They're all holograms. They all know the same song.
Everything.
Yeah, they're Cylon. It's all along the Watchtower. That's exactly what it is. It's all about mitochondrial Eve. It's quite obvious, actually. Okay, so just to
in a wormhole. I'm sorry.
They're stuck in the worms.
They're all still traveling through time. This entire season was a dream.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
I'm kidding. I don't want that. No.
We got a lot going on here on Live Long and Podcast. I guess I'm going to go in what's coming up next, which is going to be Star Trek Radio Theater on Saturday night. We're doing Star Trek Voyager this week. Michael, you're going to be playing Chakotay again, reprising your role as Commander Chakotay, who's been traumatized. Asian, yeah. This one is Chinese, and he's going to be interacting with the other crew of Voyager as they are they're brought in by this mind controlling memorial thing that takes over their minds and makes them think that they participated in like sort of a massacre. So we're gonna welcome to our comedy show. It's gonna be great. Check that out on Saturday night. And we also have Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatches on Tuesday nights. We're about halfway through the second season. And on Wednesday nights, we do Star Trek, the original series, a random episode. We're doing Trouble with Tribbles next. Check that out next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about Trouble with Tribbles, which is a classic episode. And I think that's it. Oh, yeah. And then we're here on Star Trek Discovery on Thursdays. And our other channels, Super Mater Brothers Podcasting and Trivial Debates. All right. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Adam, for a great podcast. Thanks, Jaemeel, Jane, Jason, everybody in the comments who watched tonight and follow along. And we will be back next week to talk about episode 6.
See you guys.